You're watching EVH and Gear TV, brought to you by Stewart Travel Guitars. See the incredible stowaway travel guitar at stewartguitars.com. Microphones for EVH and Gear TV are provided by Rode Microphones. And official Van Halen merchandise is provided by VanHalenStore.com. Here's your host from Ontario, Canada, EVH artist Eric Broadbent.
Hey everyone, happy Friday to you all. Welcome to EVH and Gear TV. We are live for kind of a different show this evening. We are scheduled to have guitar tech to the stars, Thomas Nordig, on the show tonight. A lot of you know him as guitar tech for Steve Vai currently right now. Obviously, he's been tech to just about everybody. Steve Lukather out there, keyboard tech to Frank Zappa. I mean, and the list goes on and on and on. So instead of, we had to bump his performance or his appearance until next Friday. So I figured instead of being off for the night, we don't like to necessarily be idle. So we are, probably for about an hour broadcast, or we'll see how it goes. But nice to have everybody over here in the chat. And I'm going to go in a little bit of a reverse order tonight. I just want to say a big, I want to make an announcement to Carlo Santin's better half. He just mentioned in the chat, he says, hello everyone, just saying hi, celebrating the wife's 50th birthday today. See you guys next time. That's a big milestone for sure. So Carlo, to your better half, happy birthday. I hope you guys have a great celebration this evening, and I hope you've had a great day so far. But yeah, we're going to do something a little different tonight. Strangely enough, I jammed the other night, about 2 nights back when I was sick. I was coming down with a cold, and I hadn't played the tube amp for a while. I've been doing so much digital stuff lately that, you know, there's a little bit of dust on the tubes and a little bit of dust on the pedal board and things of that nature. And I figured, you know what, let's get that stuff back out. And it actually turned out quite well, and had some good feedback from some of you that were watching in the chat and some of the comments on Facebook and things like that as well too. So this is kind of a part two of that broadcast. And what we're going to be doing tonight is using, once again, you can probably see the amp is glowing back there. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. Going to be using the 5150 once again for a dry sound. And I'm using Helix this time with it to complement it for left and right wet. So we're going to have a wet, dry, wet effect, as everyone knows, with Van Halen and a lot of other artists that like to do that. You know, your effects to the left and right and your dry, dead center. And normally what I would do, you can see behind me, I've got 2 Line 6 power cabs. So when I play live there and there, when I'm here in the studio, a lot of times if I'm not running through headphones or through the mixer, that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm running my Helix digital out to those 2 cabinets, left and right, and they're powered. And that's my effects, and then I run directly dry to the 5150. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you, just so you get an idea of what it sounds like both ways. I don't want to just jump in with all the nice effects and everything, because then you've got nowhere to go. I want to start off with nice and dry and show you what that sounds like, and then we're going to sprinkle in the effects. We'll play a few tunes, and we'll just have some chats and talk to everybody in the live chat. But I will say hi right now to everybody first. First and foremost, Mississippi Treasure Hunter. Chris is here, says hello, friends. Let me see. Quentin James is here, says I'm here. Hey kids. Nocturnal Butterfly, my beautiful better half, is running the chat efficiently as always, and she says make sure you put it on live chat, because sometimes there's a difference between live and the top chat. And JD Gonzalez, hello from Venezuela. Me and my son's here. Very nice to have you. So hello, Junior. Nice to have you here attending for a bit of the broadcast this evening. Okay, so that being said, okay, I have my amp on the clean channel right now. What I'm going to be doing with the 5150 tonight, I'm going to be playing all in the dirty channels. The Bobby Clipper is here as well too, saying hello all. I'm not going to be playing any clean songs tonight for the sole fact that with my Helix right now, I can't MIDI switch the 5150 100 watt because I don't have one of those mini amp gizmos. I do have one coming in the near future. But for now, I can't switch all 3 channels on there with Helix. So what I'm going to be doing tonight, just using a dirty patch with Helix all night long for the wet left and right effects, and then I'll be changing from rhythm to lead on the 5150, just to give you a bit of an idea for the solo patches and stuff like that. So I'm going to turn off my vocal mic in a second. I might be able to keep it on for a minute. This mic here will actually pick up a bit of the 5150 because I'm very, very loud in this room. You can imagine what a 100 watt half stack sounds like in a small room like this. So let's go to the cab for a second. You can hear a little bit of hiss. Okay, and I am going to turn over to the rhythm channel. You're going to hear a little bit more hiss. Okay, so I'm just going to mute this for a second just because it will pick up too much. I'm going to show you what the dirty channel sounds like on here with no effects other than, let me just say this. I'm using one effect on the 5150. That's just my exotic EP booster in the effects loop, and that's just for a bit of a punch. That's it. There's no other effects running to the 5150. So to the loop. There are going to be some effects running to the front. We'd be using my typical EVH wah, phase 90, all those kind of things that Eddie would normally do to the front of the amplifier, but that's the only effects technically that go dead center. Okay, so let's turn off this mic and I'll show you what that sounds like by itself. Okay, so that is just, you're going to hear a little bit of hissing because the amp is very, very loud. Okay, so that is just strictly 5150. Now, you ready for this? We're going to sprinkle in some Helix. Here comes. Here comes Helix. So that's with Helix on there as well. I'm going to just mute the cabinet for a second. And let's turn back to the cleans. I'll just get rid of that extra high gain hiss. So that's Helix coming in left and right. I can actually show you what just Helix sounds like. So let's show you that. And that I can keep this microphone on. Let's go strictly back to Helix. So here's what we have with Helix. Oh, sure. You know what? I can't actually stop it from going to the... yes, I can. I can put my tuner on. That'll bypass it. So there, you're getting a lot of effect. Too much effect. And it's supposed to be like that. They're very, very wet. So if I was to try to play that in an actual song context, it's way too much. But once you put that 5150 in dead center, then and you have that more predominant, and you just bring the Helix back left and right, so it's just barely in there, like just a seasoning. And I think there was a question about that as well too. Robert Avils here. Where'd you get the dry signal from? Dry signal is direct from that guy right there. Directly back there, the 5150, with a microphone on it running through the Presonus mixer here. Let me see here. Michael Madej says, hi, folks. MB215, what's up, everyone? Nice to have you here. Let me see here. And let me see, am I missing anybody else? And Mississippi says, damn, that Helix is the you know what. That's awesome. Yeah, it does add a lot. So we're going to try playing a couple songs here. And actually, you know what I'll do? I can show you my screen for a second, too. One sec. Let's jump over. Okay, so there we are. There's my HX edit that lets me control my Helix. So you'll see what my patch is, what you're hearing right now, okay? Okay, so I've got a noise suppressor. All right, that's what that one is. A noise gate, I guess. Minotaur is like a distortion pedal, overdrive pedal. That's just driving an amplifier. That's going to a placator amplifier. And then this is something I've been raving about for the longest time. That's those Celestion EVH 5150III 4x12 impulse responses. So they basically sample that amplifier, the record, they mic the speakers and everything. They turn that into a digital speaker source, and that's what that is. So that's the 5150 412 impulse response. Then I've got a plate reverb like you would have typically with Van Halen, especially back in the day. And I'm going to turn off a couple of these pitch detunes, and I'm also going to turn off the delays because I want you to just hear the reverb, okay? So nice plate reverb. Okay, so now watch this. This is the secret sauce when it comes to Van Halen. I get this question. If I had $1 for every time I was asked this question, I would have a lot of dollars. People say, how do you get like the Van Halen balance tone and, from there forward, right? All that really heavy pitch detune. So here's what I got. I'm going to play some nice open chords to show you what they would sound like without pitch detune. Okay. Now, I'm going to put both pitch detunes on because I have one on the left and one on the right. Ready for this? Here you go. So I'll tell you the secret with that. If you have a pedal that'll allow you to do pitch detune, you don't actually want to go down in steps. You want to go down in cents. So if you notice my interval, you can see the interval, which is the top one, which I'm dragging here right now. Okay, the interval is at 0. If I was to actually bring that down, physically, you would actually hear it, the guitar going down in actual real notes. Watch this. I'll just hit a note, okay? Hear that? So I'm actually, yeah, that's actually kind of neat. Now, if you wanted to do that, that's cool. That's a cool effect. But I don't want to do that. I want to just keep it at 0. I don't want to change my tuning or my pitch. Okay, I want to keep it right. Whoops, I want to keep it at 0. And I'm going to show you physically what this will do. Let's keep it at 0. All right, and let's bring our sense back to 0 as well, too. The sense is where it's at. The sense makes sense. Okay, that says 0.40. I want to get right to 0 if I can. All right, and I'm going to do the same thing with this one. I'm going to bring this one to 0. Okay, there we are, because we're at 0. Now, both of those are turned on, but you're not really hearing anything, are you? You don't hear anything different. Now, this is where it comes to life. Okay, let's start with this one here. I'm going to bring whatever you want to do on one side. There's no right or wrong. But if you have this type of effect, it could be a Eventide H9 or any kind of effect that allows you to do pitch detune, Rocktron, Intel effects. There's a million of them out there. Anything that allows you to do pitch detune, I recommend anywhere between about a 7 to a 9, maybe even an 11 either side. So if you want to go -7 on one side, you go +7 on the other. So let's start with 7 for the example. We're going to go -7. Ready for this? You can hear a slight chorusing effect coming in. Okay, try to get to 7. There we go, 7. Now we want to do the same thing on the other side, but +7. Now, that sounds a little naked on its own. Let's pop on the delays. Delay 1. Let's pop on delay number 2. Now, if you notice my milliseconds on that delay are 247, you don't really want to have the same amount of delay on both sides, because then it kind of defeats the purpose. All right, so now I've got 305 on the other side. So let's see if I can show you the differences between the delays. Okay, so on the one, turn it off. Let's go back to this one. All right, so here's our delay. Okay, let's turn on the other one. Okay, so it's longer, right? Now put them both together, and this is what we got. Now, keep in mind what you're hearing. If you're just tuning in right now, you're hearing strictly effects. You're hearing just the left and right wet. Now, that's way too much. But when you're doing a wet, dry, wet configuration, you want that rich, and then your dry signal down the center is going to be what's making it. So let's do that. Let's mute my microphone for a second. Keep this, and let's bring in the 5150, okay? Here we go. She's going to be loud. Oh, it's not going to be loud for you, but it's loud for me in here. Turn this microphone off, and now we're just doing both dry and wet. I'm a goof. You know what? I still have my tuner on the 5150. Now we're talking. Now we got it. You're probably wondering, where's that dry sound, Eric? Here it comes. And it just got much louder in here. So how do you like that? I think that's pretty cool. That's using and I'll tell you how I'm doing it. So what I'm doing here, let's go back to the big screen again too. And I'm actually experimenting here a little bit tonight too. Hopefully this works. I've got some toggles here. I got camera 1, camera 2, and camera 3. Camera 2, camera 1. There we go. I got 3 cameras in the house here tonight. Playing a little bit, trying to get some of that stuff happening. So what I'm doing is with Helix, like I mentioned earlier, I'm using Helix left and right, and I've got a patch set to go, a routing configuration. I have a routing configuration to use send 1 on Helix. On the Helix floor, there's 4 sends and returns, so the routing possibilities are incredible. I have just a dry signal. As a matter of fact, you can see it on the screen. Let's go back there, and I know there's a question coming up. I'll grab that in just a second. So see on the bottom there, it looks like a little guitar. I'm trying to see if I can show you. So you see all the effects on the top row, and then down below there's nothing. Well, that's saying that's a guitar input, and at the very end it's saying go out of send 1 on the Helix. So there's no processing whatsoever. That goes out to the 5150 and completely dry. Now what I could do if I wanted to, I could click anywhere in here and I could put like a volume block on there if I wanted. Where is that? Volume. Okay, and I could put volume. Let's do that, double click it. And so I'll see now I've got a volume block, and I could assign that to a expression pedal, and if I could actually roll in how much 5150 I wanted. Now in my case here, I just reach over to my mixer and I bring in how much 5150 I want, but that could be even easier. If I didn't want to be, manhandling the mixer, I could just be right here and rolling an expression pedal. In this case here, I'm just going to clear that block because I'm not using that. But that's how easy it is. Okay, that's gone. Okay, so let's jump over to the chat. I know there's a question. Let's go back to camera 1. There we go. We're back on. All right, so I'll catch up to the question. Chris Jones is here saying tasty looks. Thank you, Chris, for jumping in. And Robert Apple says the wet, dry, wet sounded great from here. Thank you. David Ennis is here saying hello, Eric, Nocturnal Butterfly, and everyone in the chat. Nice to have you here, David. MB215 says, okay, I have a question for anyone to answer. There's a Marshall Mode 4 412 cab in a local pawn shop for $700, which sounds way too much for me. Usually solid state Marshall cabs are cheaper. Is there a reason the Marshall Mode 4 is more expensive? So now I know a little bit about the code as far as the amplifiers. No, this is just strictly the cab. If it's just a cab, I don't know why it's that much more expensive. It should not be more expensive whatsoever. I don't know. Sometimes here's what happens with pawn shops. A lot of times they just don't know what they have. And in a lot of cases, that's good for you, the buyer, because you can usually get some exceptional deals. In this case, it doesn't sound like it's good for the buyer. It sounds like they think it's like a 1960 whatever 412 cab, and they're asking too much for it. I would look around, get some comparison prices. I don't know enough about Marshall's newer stuff to say if that's a good price or bad price. It doesn't sound like a good price. I would look around for that, but I think it turns out to be something they just don't know about. Let me see here. Yeah, and I think there's a good comment coming up here as well, too. MB says, Robert Apple says, Pete Thorne calls it still chorusing. Yeah, so if you're talking about the pitch detune, it is a chorusing effect. Anything that detunes a signal is a bit of a chorus effect, right? A modulation or a chorus effect. So that's what Eddie's been known for. And MB says the pawn shop had it paired with a Line 6 Veta 2 HD head, and it sounded pretty good, but even for $350 for the head, too much. Usually they are between $150 and $250. Yeah, it seems like the pawn shop that you're looking at there is doesn't know what they've got, or they're taking the advantage of the buyer. And unfortunately, they don't realize that we as buyers shop around and we know this kind of stuff. And I know this for a fact because, we got a $5 super chat. Thank you very, very much. That was from Mississippi Treasure Hunter. I appreciate that immensely. That was very kind of you. My old bass player in my band years ago ran a pawn shop, so I know the ins and outs of the pawn shops really, really well. And if I can share a little tip with you, this is an insider tip. I'm surprised I haven't said this before. That was awesome. Thank you so very, very much. Usually, let's say I brought in this Wolfgang, right? If I brought in this Wolfgang and it's, let's say it's roughly around $1,500, $1,600, in its day, and that's probably what it's worth right now, still easily. If I took it to a pawn shop, they're only going to give you around, let's say I want to get a loan on it. Okay. I want to take it in. I want to get a loan, to go to the casino for the night. They would give me 10% of what this guitar is worth. And then I get so many days to come back and claim my guitar. If you don't come back and claim your guitar, they give you another clearance. It's like another waiting period. It's around 30 days. And there's also a little bit of a check period. They have to check to make sure the items aren't stolen. So if you don't come back and get your item after that clearing period, this goes out on the floor. So technically, on a 10%, if this guitar is worth $1,500, and they gave me a 10% loan. All they gave me is $150. So when this goes on the floor and they put like $800, $900, $1,000 on this, whatever, so keep this in mind. It's usually a 10% what they give you, so you have lots of negotiation room. Talk to them, say, you know what, no way, I'm not going to pay that kind of money. So they have $1,000 on it, say, I'll give you $550, because even at that price, it's a steal, okay? Or maybe you can go a tiny bit lower, say $400, and then come up to $650, $700, and you still have a steal when you get up there, and you've negotiated. You walk out of there with the deal. The pawn shop feels like they didn't just get the first kick in the pants for a deal, or they didn't take a loss, right? So keep that in mind. It's usually around 10% is what they allow you for your stuff when you bring it in there. So I hope that helps you in your pawn shop shopping, and that's from personal experience. Matter of fact, I have one Wolfgang here that came from a pawn shop experience. It was fantastic. I got basically a USA PV Wolfgang special, made in USA, for about $40. No kidding. You can't buy a pickup for $40. So I still have it to this day. Spencer K is here, says, love this. Thanks for doing this. You're very welcome. Way too high in that cab. So he sounds like he knows more about it than I do, for sure. And he also says the best show on YouTube. I appreciate that. MB says, oh, trust me, I cleaned them out because they didn't know about them. That's good. Jason Wade is here. Says, I'm surviving Hurricane Florence in North Carolina with my Wolfgang Helix Native and EVH Gear TV. I hope you're okay. If you're in the danger path, please consider, getting out of there. And but I hope you're not exactly in the roughest part. I saw something online tonight. So a bunch of my friends were sharing this on Facebook. Maybe you guys have seen this. I couldn't believe it. It's so shameful. Like the media today is like, I don't want to start saying fake news because that gets thrown around in politics a lot. But there's a lot of fake news out there. People are trying to drum up, ratings and, all that kind of stuff. And ratings means more people tuning in to the news programs, more advertising. You know how that works in business, right? More people watching, the more you can charge for advertising. And there's some reporter on the street. He's out in the rain. And he's like holding the microphone, and you see obviously some wind, and there's some rain, like typical Canadian rain, and he can barely stand up. He's like staggering. He's holding the microphone like this, and he's like, I like this. And then the camera pans away, and you just see these two guys walking down the street, just like they're talking to one another. No problem whatsoever. But the reporter is like pulling a William Shatner. I just can't stand up. I'm going to be blown away any second. It was priceless. He didn't realize that they're going to pan away and show these people walking down the street. So that was kind of funny. I'm just kind of making a fun of that a little bit. Let me see here. Jim Nevelis, I'm sorry, says, I got a 57 Strat for $200 from a pawn shop. Wow. Man, oh man. That's something else. Jason says, just rain and wind right now still have power. That's good. So we're good for now. Did I see something? You'd know, Jason, because you're in the area. Something like, it says like 600,000 people without power. Is that correct? I saw that as a stat online, and I think it might have been actually from that same newscast with the William Shatner reporter. That could be falsified too. I don't know. Robert Apple says, pawn shop. Nope, I scrolled too fast. Pawn shop probably paid too much for it from the original owner and now trying to get their profit. Yeah, that can happen. That happens as well too. The pawn shops aren't always, the most knowledgeable. They try to have people on staff that, look up the blue books and stuff like that. Perfect example. Look at the old show Pawn Stars. I used to watch that religiously till I found out how fake it was, and it's still kind of fun to watch too. But they've been bit many times too. Fake things come in, and with guitars too. Guitars can come in, and there's so many guitars today are counterfeited. So yeah, the pawn shops can take a bite too. So a lot of times, they might have stuff that's going to sit there forever because they just can't give it away, or they have to take a loss on it and get it out the door. Let me see here. Something from MB says they have mini Epiphone Zach Wild Les Paul for $400, but I took my ESP KH3 Les Paul shaped signature with EMG, and they offered $60. Jeez. Yeah. Spencer says, what a ripoff. MB says, I showed them the full-size Zach Epiphones were on sale for under $4, and the guy said, those people are idiots. They should be asking $3 to $4K. I said, it's an Epiphone, and the guy said with a A, or I'm not sure what he meant there, but yeah, some of these people just don't know guitars, and they should have a specialist on call, or also if they don't have someone that's working on staff, call somebody like they know somebody. They got to know somebody. A music store, come on in, have a quick look. Pay him $10 for $15, $20 for his time. Come in or buy him a coffee or something just for a quick look. Let me see. What did MB say? Straight face and the Epiphones and Gibsons are the same thing. And I said nothing else, just walked out. Yeah, sometimes you got to do that. Quentin James says, I got my Mexican humbucker single Strat with hard fender case from Craigslist for $180. Although it may have been a little warm. Yeah, sometimes that can happen too. You might not exactly be a legal sale, but you know what? As long as you went into it thinking that it was legal and no one's come forward to claim it yet, I guess it's a positive experience, right? That happens. And that does happen at the pawn shops. There is the clearance period where it doesn't even go on the shelf until a certain amount. I think it's almost 30 days where if someone hasn't reported it stolen, the police haven't come in to say we might have a stolen item here, then it's fair game. It could still be stolen, but it's fair game. You've done your due diligence and it can go on the shelf. I used to hang out a lot at the pawn shops. I used to always go in looking for, this is like back in the day, DVD players, Blu-ray players. I still got speakers here, got some beautiful speakers, Surin Vega and Panasonic subwoofers as well. Like half of my stuff is furnished from pawn shop stuff just because the bass player, it was pretty cool. Got some good deals. So pawn shops can be your friend, especially if you make friends with somebody there. That's awesome. And Jason Witt says, okay, yeah, closer to the coast. And MB says, in Philly, we're going to get the leftovers from Flo. Nocturnal Butterfly says, lots of candles just in case it's time for us to start stocking up. We lose power continuously through the winter. Yeah, here in our small town, we even lose it like now, like it's spring, summer, even like before the winter. Whenever we get a heavy rain season and wind, because we have millions of trees here. It's almost like forest country almost. And trees are always coming down, knocking down power lines. So anytime I do a live show and there's rain, I hear thunder outside, I'm like, oh my God, am I going to lose power tonight? Because that'd be the most embarrassing thing. Poof, right in the middle of a show. That'd be, and there's nothing you can do about that, right? That's the nature of live shows. JD Gonzalez says, Eric, me older son says, you rock, bro. Awesome. Thank you. Your son rocks too. It's awesome. Nice to introduce newer generations to the show. And I'm very happy to have you here. And we always try to keep it very clean and positive as well too. So there should never be a problem. I try my very, very best not to say any cuss words on here. And obviously my guests too, sometimes it slips and that can happen. But for the most part, it's pretty safe, family friendly here. Quentin James says, I bought an ESP LTD because I wanted the Floyd. It's having Floyd issues though. I think there may be burrs on the pivot points or the knife edges. Yeah, that could very well be, Quentin. Probably on the knife edges of the trem. It would be a real cheap investment for you when you can just to buy new pivots. You can try that first, and then if it's still doing it, then it could be the knife edges, and then that would be a slightly more advanced. Possibly filing it down, buffing it a little bit, but the posts. And matter of fact, I might even have some for you, Quentin. I'll look around. I probably have some extra posts, and if I do, they may not be black. I think yours is black. I may have them. I'd be more than happy to send them to you if I have them. I think I do. You can try that first, and it's no cost to you. And yeah, Mississippi says humans being. Yeah, that's what I was playing earlier, and that's kind of fitting for the storm too, isn't it? MB says another pawn shop thought they had a real 59 burst Les Paul and were asking $300,000. But I looked at it and had to break the bad news that it was a 2013. Guy looked like he was going to cry. And that does happen. You look at these things sometimes, I watch you ever watch that show, Antique Roadshow? Nocturnal and I used to watch that a lot. And, you get these people, they think they've got something, an old heirloom from the war, and they take it in and it's a replica. And you're sure of it. You're ready to you sell it and buy your family a house and travel around the world, and you find out it's worth like $20. That can be really, really, really depressing for sure. Okay, we're going to jump into some tunes here in a second. I'm going to show you basically some of the same songs I played the other night, but I'm going to be using no clean patches this time just because I can't control MIDI at the moment to switch the 5150. I will be able to do that soon because Helix is a powerhouse to do that. I just don't have the RJM mini gizmo, amp gizmo to switch, which is pretty cool for this amplifier. Another reason why, one of the only reasons why I'd like to go to the either the 50 watt or the 100 watt EL34, especially the 50 watt EL34, having MIDI capability, because I can run MIDI from the Helix and I can switch channels, which is phenomenal. So I can't do that without a gizmo here in this one. Let me just see if I'm missing anything else before we jump over. And there you go, because MB might be able to hook him up. So it's probably going to be a Shaler. He's talking about Quentin. I think you have a Shaler tremolo on that guitar, Quentin. You can confirm with that. I think it's a Shaler on that one, or it may be made by Shaler with ESP name on it. I forget who makes them. Probably Shaler. Yeah, and people are recognizing Antique Roadshow. That's cool. Okay, so let's jump over here. Let's get some tunes playing. I think I have them going. All right, let's see. We'll start off with this fun one. Okay, so you're hearing just strictly wet. Okay. All right, so let's mute my microphone. Let's bring the cab back in. Cab is on. Now you're going to hear some hiss. Okay, get rid of the tuner. All right, now we're talking. All right, going to mute my microphone. We're going to have some jams. Hopefully this all goes good. And, oh, hang on a sec. There's a good question. I want to do that first. Okay, Jason Wade is saying, Line 6 HX Effects guitar presser, is it worth the $5.99? Yes. And the reason why I'm going to say yes, and here again, too, people might think, okay, Eric, all you talk about is EVH and Line 6 and all that kind of stuff. This is my honest opinion. I will never steer you guys wrong. I do have the HX effects here as well, too. And that's, I think, what I'm going to do as a part 3 to this test. So you heard the other day, you heard me playing just 5150, and it sounded awesome with my analog pedals and digital pedals. But when I say digital pedals, I mean, the analog pedals with digital brains, not including Helix. Now today I'm using analog and digital with Helix. Next version is going to be 5150 with just HX effects. And Jason, that one will be for you. You'll get to hear that one. And I could technically replace my entire pedal board with just HX effects. There's everything that's in Helix is in HX effects. So for $600 US, it's a great deal. The only thing you would need extra with that, Jason, would be an expression pedal, with the expression, or maybe even 2, but one would be bare minimum. And that would let you do a wah. If you want to have a wah pedal, they have like probably 10, I'm going to say 6 to 8, maybe I'm going to say probably 8 wahs in there. Everything from your Crybaby to your Morleys to your like just about everything. And there's the Vox, of course, the Vox V847, I think it is. That's one of my favorite wahs. It's built into that as well too. So if you're one of those guys that likes to have amplifier on stage and not go full digital, and you want a simple effects unit that's not like I don't want to, like, some people use like the Zooms and all those kind of things out there as well too. I'm not gonna say anything bad about those products, but if you want something that's a real serious high-end effects processor, the HX effects will be great for you and allow you to use your amplifier as its source. So yes, long story short, Jason, yes. And I will do a video that'll be dedicated just to you to show you what that's like. But here's another thing too. I guess before I actually play, this is a little bit of a selling point that I think you might appreciate. There's a lot of people that are still sitting on the fence that don't want to go into digital modeling. And there's 2 reasons for that, 2 or 3 reasons why they won't go that way. Number one, they've been playing analog stuff in solid state or tube amplifiers their whole life, and they just aren't comfortable. Sometimes they fear. Sometimes we fear things, That's how like a lot of these, kind of cult groups start, because we fear something, so we attack it, right? So we have to lash out because we're not in our comfort zone. We don't know anything about it. That happens a lot with digital too. People are unknowledgeable. Is that a word? Don't have the knowledge on the product, so they're scared of it. That happens as well too. Other people aren't afraid of it or anything like that. They just want to have that kick in the pants of a 412 or a 212 or a 810, kicking them in the back, kicking them in the butt when they're up on the front of the stage, and you're feeling that amp in the room. And that scares people sometimes to not have that. So here's an example of how you can have your cake and eat it too. So tonight, using that, I could be on stage with that right now, okay? And miking that like you traditionally do. You're going to do sound check. The sound tech's going to mic your amplifier, get you a nice mix through the front of the house. Maybe have a monitor wedge if you're lucky enough to have a monitor. A lot of clubs don't. A lot of them do. And then take your Helix like I'm using tonight, run left and right, balanced out to the front of house. So now if you're lucky enough, I hear again too, we don't always get these luxuries in clubs to have the best PA systems, but if there's a good system, sometimes they are. Left and right wet, right from your Helix, and your Marshall or your 5150 or your Mesa or your Orange, whatever you got, run dead center, and man, oh man, you're going to have it all. So now you've got your amp kicking in the butt. And imagine if you're one of the lucky ones that are, they even have in-ear monitors. So now you have in-ear monitors hearing left and right effects and your amplifier, plus still feeling the air kicking into, feeling your bones rattle. That's cool. Now you have your cake and you can eat it too. That's what's really cool about that. So long story short, this is we're going to have some fun with this tonight. I'll give you an idea of what you could be doing in the real world with tube amplifier or solid state amplifier. There's a great solid state amps too, like your Katanas, your Boss Katanas. I'm pointing to imaginary one, but there is one over here. And we'll see what it sounds like. And I'm just going to try to highlight where we left off. What I'll do is I will come back to both Jason's follow-up question, and Quentin James has a point as well too. So I'm going to come back to that as well too, okay? I'll be right back to those points. We'll do some jams. Here we go. Get back on the noisy channel. I know it's probably clipping. I just saw my lights clipping, but it's because of this microphone's on. And you know what? You guys help, as always, guys and girls. I did a little poll the other day. Which one microphone do you like better, this one or this guy over here? The two different style microphones. And pretty much, I'd say 80% of the verdict was this guy here. And I'm really confident with this one as well, too. So I listen to my fans and viewers and friends. So you help me make better progress on the show. So this one wins, and it's staying here. And it's nice because I can get away with a little bit extra clacky noise or string noise that you wouldn't hear. If I did that with that mic, you'd hear every frequency of that string clack. Okay, so shut up, Eric, and let's jam. All right, let's turn that back off. That was a bit of a bad ending there, but that was fun. That was really, really fun. Got caught up in the moment. Let's mute that cab. Let's go back to the questions, and let's switch back to camera number one. There we are, back on number one. Okay, so I was leaving it back off where Jason and Quentin were talking. We're going to come back to some more music in a second as well, too. Nocturnal says, awesome show. Thank you, baby. Quentin James says, MB is a MH100 cheap model. Not sure on the model of the Floyd. Okay. And Jason says, go for the Gusto and get the actual Helix LT for $899. That's a real tough question, and I don't want you to spend any more money than you have to. So if you're really happy with your amplifier right now, and you just want some effects, and I forget what you're using for your amplifier. I think you have 5150s, I think. But if you want to save some money and you really like the tone of your amplifier, just go with the HX and use it for effects and use your amp for its sound. Now, there are some advantages to Helix LT or a Helix as well. you could go do a gig and not have to bring a single amplifier. That's a benefit as well too. And as you're saying, for 300 more bucks, right? It's not a huge deal. Then you've got the best of both worlds. You've got amplifier modeling and effects. So that's a tough call. And I'm not going to be able to answer your question because it's got to come down to you. And I don't want to ever push you in the wrong direction. I'm definitely going to say that the HX Effects is nice, could benefit you really well, but I don't want to soak you out of $300 more if it's something you don't want to go with. So just keep that in mind. You want to use your amp tone and keep it like that, then maybe save a few bucks and just use HX Effects. Either way, though, you certainly won't regret. So I hope that's not really an answer, but kind of an answer. MB says only Floyds to stay away from are the licensed Floyds. Floyd specials and up are all good. Have a few specials and they stay in tune just as well as the best Floyds. Setup is very important. The only thing, MB, you might agree with me on this, or maybe not too, but the only thing I recommend to be careful of with the Floyd specials is be very careful when you're tightening your string locks, because it is a softer metal and some people like to, crank like, almost like a tire wrench to lock those string lock blocks in there. And even at the locking nut as well too. You don't need to brute force these things, and we've done that a million times, all of us over our lives. Like we take these things here and just like that. I get them as like just tight, and then just a fraction of 16th of a turn. Just once you get them tight like this, and then just a little bit more. And you'd be surprised how little you actually have to tighten the nuts. And the same thing back at the string locks, where the Floyd specials can strip easier. So just keep that in mind. That's the only thing that's negative about the Floyd specials, softer alloy, and you can strip them. Now, that being said, I'm kind of a hypocrite on that statement, because on my purple standard, that's actually Junior's purple standard that I'm pointing at there. Mine is just off camera, off to the other side. You might be able to see it. You can see the headstock. I have a hodgepodge on my Floyd. I have a Floyd special base plate, big brass block from Futone, and everything else is from an 80s, like an 84 Floyd, as far as the saddles and everything else. And the only reason why, when I first got that guitar, excuse me, and I upgraded to Floyd, I was having D-tuner problems. Because it was a very late 80s or mid 80s Floyd, there was no talk, no thought, no incarnation of what a D-tuner was going to be many years, 20 years in the future, and the D-tuner just didn't cooperate with it. It would work, but it took a lot of fussing, and it was throwing a lot of thing out of tune. So I kept the Floyd Special base plate, took all the 80s parts off the other Floyd, stuck it on top. I cut the fine tuner, not the fine tuner, but the fine tuner tension arm underneath the low E string, which I do on almost all my Floyds. And here again, I don't recommend that. It works great, but I'm not encouraging to do that because I won't be responsible for breaking any of your guitars. But I snipped that. And EVH does that right at the factory too for most of the USAs. They snip the, if you look under the Floyds, you'll see that the fine tuner, there's 6 of them, of course, the fine tuner, they call like fingers, that just keeps tension on the fine tuners. They cut them off, and it makes the D-tuner this flawless. You can flip it in and out. The only negative to that is sometimes you're doing a whammy bar dive, you go up like this, and your D-tuner might fall out because there's not fall out, but drop down to D because there's no tension. But you just got to be a rock star when you're doing your dive, reach back and throw your D-tuner back in place, and it works fine. But I hope you guys, between MB and Quentin, you can work out the Floyd issue, and if there's anything else I can be of assistance with, I will certainly try. Let's continue down. Mike Madej, a much more bang for the buck, only a bit more money. Yep, that's true. But good, very, very good point, Michael. There's lots of ways to look at it. So I'm gonna let Quentin and MB continue their conversation. I won't read all the points online because they're just trying to help each other out, and that's awesome. That's what we love here, people helping one another, and I think that's great. And yeah, Quentin's trying to describe his problem, so you guys can work that out, and I'm really happy to see that. Nocturnal says, reminds me of the uproar at the retirement home when microwaves came out. Yeah, I can imagine. Jason White says, thank you so much for all the awesome explanation. No problem. Okay, so Fred Siegel, and you know what? I saw a comment a minute ago here. Yeah, this is a good comment coming up in a second from Insomniac Matt. And this is from Fred Siegel. Is it Siegel? I think it is. How are those katanas? They look to be reasonably priced. Yeah, they are very reasonably priced. We got the first gen. When I say we, Junior, I bought it for Junior for Christmas. We got the first gen 50 watt, and then they brought out new firmware, and there's like 2.0 whatever now. It's a great amplifier. A really, really good amplifier would be one of those ones where, and I think someone's asking me if I'm still gigging. No, I'm not gigging right now, but if I was gigging and I wanted a simple little amplifier backstage, and that's what they supplied me, was a Katana, I would love it. Got all my effects. I mean, you can even get like the Phase 90 kind of effects, all your delays, reverbs. I mean, we all know what Boss is like. Boss was great back in the day, and they still are with pedals and all that kind of stuff. I'm sure probably every one of us have at least one Boss pedal on our board, if not more, or we've had multiple. So I give a wholehearted testimonial and recommendation to any of the Boss Katana and Wazacraft amplifiers. Now, the Wazacraft are obviously much more expensive, but you go into a store right now and buy a 50-watt Katana. Now, what I would recommend on Katana is I'd recommend going to the 100-watt, and only for the sole reason, unless they change this down the road, the 100-watt has an effects loop. And I really wish we had that here for Junior, because, I do not like to run effects, especially certain effects. Digital delay to the front of an amplifier, it just sounds very, very bad. And I built a nice pedal board for Junior, and he kind of got out of it just for the sole fact that we're running to the front of the amplifier, and delays just sounded bad and stuff like that. I'd rather just use the delays that are on the Katana. But if spend the extra money, go with the 100-watt. You're going to have a little bit more gigging volume if you're jamming with buddies in the garage or at a real gig, and you've got an effects loop. So yeah, highly recommended on the Katanas. Lots of reviews on YouTube. Okay, good. So Insomniac Matt says, is it just me, or does anyone get the Judas Priest vibe from that song? Yes. I obviously loved a lot of Judas Priest as a kid, and some of the very first songs, like I learned were Breaking the Law, stuff like that, like, Another Thing Coming. We did that in the band. We did a pretty good version of that as well, too, I'm not going to play a lot of it because I don't want to get a copyright strike. That's probably all I need to get a strike. I can play Van Halen on here, but I can't play other people's music other than my own. But yeah, and then especially the solo. That's totally a Judas Priest nod for sure. And, a lot of their solos aren't crazy all over the place. They just have a thing that you can sing. And that was kind of the thing I was trying to do. I wanted to have a little lead that you could kind of hum in your head, kind of almost a vocal melody. Let's continue on. We'll play some more music here in a second as well, too. Eamon Wyse is here. Eamon, good to see you again, buddy. He says hi, all. Thanks for tuning in again. Let me see. Robert Apple said something. He says, hey, Eric, you rock. I hope you're still gigging. I'm not gigging anymore. No, I played with the last band, the music that you're hearing me play right now. I joined that band in 2000, and we took it right to 2012. Had a really, really good run. We auditioned for, at the latter part of our career, we auditioned for Roadrunner Records, had a stellar review from them. There was just one element of the band that they didn't like. It wasn't the bass player, the drummer, or the guitar player. I won't say who it was. But that's why we didn't go any further. And we took one for the team, basically, and we weren't going to replace any individuals. It was basically you take the band or we don't take the band. We weren't going to replace anybody to get the gig. And I don't regret that decision because it could have changed, where we are today. I could be on the road 24/7 and I don't think I'd really want that. But now with the convenience of Helix and things like that, I do want to get back to playing sometime in the distant future. I'll be 50 this year. I wouldn't mind doing a weekend once a month cover gig, make a couple bucks on a weekend, go out and play some fun and play some music and actually, feel the interaction from a crowd, because I know some of you appreciate it, but I don't actually see you through the screen. It'd be really cool if I could see little windows of everybody that's watching, and then I could, people kind of going like, and they'll be like, okay, that sucks. And then people are clapping their hands or something. Yeah, but you see, that's the thing you get when you're at a club. You get to get that immediate interaction. And so, yeah, I might do that again. But for now, this is just as much fun, more fun, in a lot of ways more fun, because I never have to leave the house when I'm done here. I got my family here. They're watching, right now. And you're watching. I get more people coming to this show than we would ever have at a live gig at the latter part of our career anyways, because music was changing as I got out of it. 2012, people just weren't coming to the shows anymore. A lot of the clubs stopped smoking. They had the smoking bylaws. I think Canada started that before the USA, and it got really bad really quick. And, people smoke and drink. That's what they do. And if they can't, if they can't smoke, they're not drinking. The bars aren't making money. It's just it's like, you throw a stone in a pond and you see those ripples. Well, that's what that did. The smoking bylaw killed it. So then they started to try to make little patios outside, but I mean, in the wintertime, who wants to go out and have a smoke and then run back in and see a band? You go, if you lose them for a second to go out and have a smoke, you've probably lost them for the night. Then people go home and they have their party at home and the band suffers. So it's a catch-22. But very long answer for a very easy question. Let me see here. So I'm gonna highlight And there you go. Bobby says, Eric's gigging now with us. That's right. That's very, very well put. And Sean Close says, whoa, crap, came on and Eric is shredding. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I'm Sucking Wind says, nice riff. Thank you. I will play another one that you'll probably like. If you like that riff, we're going to keep it heavy. And I'm not playing any of my clean songs tonight, which is kind of a shame because I got some pretty songs that are clean as well too. It's just that as you're tuning in now, for some of you viewers who are just catching in, I can't MIDI switch my 5150, so I'm keeping everything between 5150 and Helix on the dirty channels. So, tonight's just a rock out night, so we'll keep it that way. So let's go over to, let's drop her down to D. Okay. Okay, so we're going to have some fun with this one. Here we go. All right, there we go. That was fun. Go back to camera number 1. See if number 3 is still working. Hello, number 3 still working. Yes, we are. All right, rock and roll. We got 3 cameras rocking and rolling tonight. Let's mute that cab. Get rid of that. There we go. See how much nicer that sounds? All right, so let's go back to the questions and a nice cold drink here. 1 second. Jason says, love the blue light glistening off the body of the Wolfgang. Yeah, this guitar, it's still a shiny guitar. I'm surprised it still shines after all these years. But even if it was a matte finish, this guitar would still shine in playability. I love this thing. It's a very special guitar, and it's getting a lot more mojo lately, partly for the fact, I'll have to show you, if you follow us on Instagram on our various platforms, Instagram, EVH Gear TV, have a look at one of the posts we've shared recently, or on Facebook, facebook.com/EVH Gear TV. Roger Diodak from Diodak Ghost Guitars has immortalized this guitar for me in a ghost form. It's really cool. It's like a hologram light, and he did it back to where it was earlier when I had my band's insignia on it, which is really, really cool. So it's making me, just giving me the mojo again for this guitar. And I'll be playing this one a lot more. I mean, it's fully hopped up with futon stuff. It's noiseless springs, big brass block, it's titanium string locks, stainless steel, everything. It's a real player for sure. Let me see here. Let's continue down. Terry's here as well too. I like the 2 camera angle. It's camera 2. Yeah, cool. Eh? That's number 2. Yep. Lets me see. This playing. Get to see more of the guitar, because when you're on this one here, all you see is this, right? It's nice to see the headstock, but go over here, and you can see better. It's more neck angle, right? You actually can see everything I'm doing, which is kind of cool. Let me see here. I have to wear pants for this angle, so that's a good thing, right? So it's before I could hide, didn't have to wear pants. I could be in my boxers, but now I can't get away with that. So let's continue. Let's go back to camera 1, so you're not looking at my side profile, which is probably not the best angle. There we go. Let's continue on. Let me see. So thank you, Terry. Mississippi Treasure Hunter. Chris says Eric's on fire. Thank you. And I'm Second Wind says, I hate anything good costs so much, at least most of the time. I know. But in most cases, the things, the more you pay, usually the better quality you get. But it does suck because we've got to save so much money, right? Yeah, Eamon says, great blue shine from the pickup switch around the other camera angle. Yeah, I bet, eh? Thank you. Let me see here. And MB says, yes, absolutely agree. Eric Jason Wade says, I'm thinking of going with a Line 6 HX. I can actually get it for $499 with minor blemish from American Music Supply. American Music Supply, they have a 2-year warranty, so it'd be fine. Perfect. Go for it, man. $100 savings for a blemish. It's going to get blemished anyways, and if they still back up the warranty, they're fantastic. And Mississippi says, please add CD to iTunes. I will probably get that back up there for sure. I had it in iTunes before the band split up and took it back down, but yeah, we'll get it back up there. And I know I'm still on D here. Trying to do some chords. I'm in D. Maybe what we'll do, I wonder if I have any. No, I don't have any. Yeah, well, I'll play another D tune before we go back up. All right, so let's highlight there for a second. Yeah, let me see here. I'm going to mention Eamon's comment first. Just got to go back and find him. He says, for my Sterling by Music Man AX40, I couldn't get the D-tuner to work properly, so swapped the plate for a Floyd Rose 1000, and it settled in fine. That does happen. And sometimes I've seen that too with some of the Floyds. It just, you would think, like I'm not an engineer by any means, but, you'd think when a Floyd sits on the body that once it's flushed, it can't move. And technically, you're right, it can't move. However, there is some give there that even the body of the wood will give micromillimeters, less than a millimeter, but it's enough to throw your guitar. If you were to play an A chord and move your D tuner, whatever, in or out, you probably wouldn't notice it to your ear unless you have a very, very good ear. But if you did it on a tuner, you might notice that there's some fluctuation, and only on some guitars. And that's when I recommend getting the D tuner, the trem stopper from Futon. And what that does is it just say this is your block, your brass block on the body of the tremolo. The trem stopper just pokes it, and you to determine how much you want it to go, and it would bring your block forward just a tiny bit. Now you don't want to go too much, because the more you make your block go like this, now you've got less travel room to do your whammy bar dive, and eventually you get used to your whammy bar dive, and if you've only got like an inch to go, and you're like, oh, this is a drag for whammy bar dive, so just move it a millimeter. Bring that bolt up from the trem stopper, engage it there, and now you've got a new point of 0 that it cannot go back even if you were to reef on that bar and pull it backwards, and that should alleviate any tuning problems with D-tuners and things like that. And it's like a $25 part, maybe $35 for the brass one. So it's not a very expensive thing, and I think it's a good tool to have in your toolbox of guitar stuff because it is so affordable. Let's jump over and play that song Silence, because this one will really kick with the wet, dry, wet. This one goes like this. All right, let's play that one. So I want to make sure I don't lose where I was at. So I think we're at Eamon's comment. Get a quick sip here, and we're going to jump over, go to camera 2, and we'll get the 5150 amp back on. We're doing really good on time. We're just right at the 1 hour mark right now. Okay, over to the dirty channel. Okay, cab is on now on my mixer, and microphone is on. let's jump back over to the chat. That was fun. I made a big mistake on that one. There is a partner, kind of goes like this. Oh, how's it go now? There we go. And then, yeah, there we go. I got it now. Finally. It's one of my own songs. That was written back in 2004 or 5. Go back to the chat. Thank you. This is a lot of fun. We'll be wrapping up here soon. A couple more songs. MB saw Priest and Ozzy that week. Both were great, but Tipton was missed, I have to say. Yeah, I really miss him in the band for sure. Anybody else that we missed here? Sean Close giving me some horns up, which is nice. Thank you. Love that watermark. Nocturnal Butterfly. That really amp kicks butt. Wow, that's I'm Sucking Wind. And yeah, it does. And it's just nice. I'm just sprinkling in Helix. Just sprinkling it. That's all I'm doing. It's just nice to add just a little bit of dimension. And let me see here. YouTube through my home surround sounds and on 10, banging my head. That's from Sean Close. Thank you. I'm glad you're having fun with it. And Nocturnal stepped away for a second. No problem. Into that, the 5150III. Yes, I'm running the 5150III 100-watt half stack. First generation. And I mentioned this on the show the other night. What I mean by first generation, there's the Stealth, there's EL34, but it's not only that. The newer models of that version, you have the Fender logo, which is right, like, so you see where I'm pointing right now, just above, see my amber Wolfgang? Go straight up to the headstock and you see 5150. Look online now, any of those new models have the Fender logo, the F right beside the 5150. This is even before that. This is my second one. I've had 2 of those. I had one technical problem with the first one, and they replaced it immediately for me. I had another one before I even got to my next gig and even returned the other one back. So that's how good Fender customer service is. So that's the 5153. Let me see here. And Sean Close is how you feeling? I'm not sure if you're asking me, but because I was sick the other day, I'm probably about 99.9% over it. I think that jam the other night was great. I sweated out of my system, and I'm sweating like crazy in here right now too. And it does get a little hot in here with a little bit of lights on in here. The tube amp does contribute a little bit to that. You'd be surprised how much, it might sound like a joke, but there's warmth coming off that amplifier, enough that it makes a difference in the room. Let me see here. Mike Michaels, Eric, explain your pickup selection on that song. Is it upside down or is it a selector for the Wolfgang? Yeah, it's Wolfgang. So up is bridge, down is neck. Yep, typical Wolfgang thing. And it's weird if I play a Les Paul now. I feel weird because I'm so used to the Eddie thing, right? The Eddie did that because he didn't want to knock it. He didn't want to knock his toggle switch when he was in, when he'd use multiple pickups. So for the longest time, he only used one, didn't have to worry about it. But that's exactly how I do that. And you're going to notice me a lot too. This is a technique, obviously, not just from Eddie Van Halen, but I work my volume a lot. So that song when I was playing Silence a moment ago, I was starting off like this. And my volume is on 3, okay? And then I'll bring it in for a little bit more dynamic. Eventually, I'm full blown. I really rotate that. And I'm also working with it's amazing what you can do with the volume control, plus being in the middle of the pickup selector. So now I got both humbuckers on there. They're beautiful. Right? Beautiful. I can really get some clean tones on a distorted patch. I'm like totally dirty. You know what? Let's play. Here's another. I'm going to give you another exclusive here. You've heard this one before. This is another 80s riff. I'm so stuck in the 80s. So this is an exclusive for you here as well too. Let's go back to the Dirty Channel. I'm going to play a couple riffs. I treated some people to some riffs the other night that they hadn't heard. I'm going to play 2 on here that are totally 80s inspired. I wrote them back in the 80s and I'm still playing them today and I'm going to record them. They're actually I have some scratch tracks down right now. Let's turn off this microphone for a sec. I'm going to play a couple riffs here. These are my songs. So there you go, totally 80s. I'm stuck in the 80s, and I love the 80s. But let's go over and play some more. Let's do some more rocking and rolling here. Are we still in E? This is going to be a fun one. Okay, turn on my microphone. We're going to do some heavy. This is the one that you recognize. There you go, that's Loaded Gun. turn off that cabinet. I am sweating like crazy, and that is a great feeling. Let's go back to the chat. We're going to wrap up here in probably just a few minutes. We'll wrap up in 90 minutes. Not 90 minutes from now. We're probably going on 90 minutes. Let me scroll back. I missed a lot here. Robert Apple got to wear pants. Let me see here. What have I missed? Do I know any Queensryche or older? No, I don't know any Queensryche. Although I can show you a song that was inspired by Queensryche, a little riff. I'll try to play it. Okay, let me put the dirty back on. So if I can, this is a tricky one. I wrote this one a long time ago too. Okay, so you tell me if you think this has a Queensryche feel to it. Let me turn the mic back off for a second. This is written back when Queensryche was, when they were new, and that's where I was inspired. So you tell me if you think if it has a Queensryche feel. So that's my take at Queensryche. That's not a Queensryche song. It's one of mine that I wrote, but along in the Queensryche genre. So I don't know any other Queensryche. Let me see if I scrolled too fast too. Let me see here. Geez, my Nocturne Butterfly. I have YouTube Premium. Oh, that's cool. Download the live streams. That's awesome. Go back and watch Eric. It's awesome. Very cool. Mike Michael's horns up. I like that. Appreciate that. I'm probably just going to rip off maybe one or two more songs. And Mississippi Treasure Hunter. Oh, as Sean says, Goosebumps, man. And hell yeah, thank you. And Chris says, nothing like playing music. There really isn't. There's one thing in life. This is I'm going to get real philosophical for a second. There's one thing in life. You can lose your job. You can lose your house. You can lose, I don't want to say lose your family. Hopefully you never lose your family. But, you can lose a lot of things in life. But people can't take away your love of music. And if you're a musician and if you can play, as long as you are never physically, taken away from it, have arthritis or you lose a limb or something, God forbid, they can't take that away from you. And music is great to play. And I'm sure you've all been there. You have a bad day at work or you're just down in the dumps. You pick up your instrument and you're instantly happy again. And if you're not, it's okay. It doesn't necessarily always make you happy. Put it down, come back another day. But I know for me, when I was sick the other night, I felt better after playing. It is a great thing to play an instrument. And if you can only play 3 chords, as long as you play some songs and you can sing to it and you're entertaining your friends when they come over, nothing better. It's great. As long as you're having a good time. Billy Shelton is here. Nice to see you, Billy. Man, I'm treated a couple nights in a row with you. It's awesome to have you here. Very, very cool. Let me see here. 316 while unclean. Let me see if I can get any. I probably let me turn off Helix for a second. So we have just clean. For an easy song, I could totally mess that up. I'm gonna put some effects on the 5150. I'm gonna put on my Strum and Big Sky. Well, you know what? Let me see. Here you go. Oh, but that's not. What am I? Let's get rid of that. Hang on one second. Turning off the chorus. We don't really need chorus in there. Fingernails. Little spike. That's Nocturnal Butterfly's favorite song. there we go. A little bit of a... It's such an easy song too, but it's so easy to mess it up too. Okay, so let's go back to another song here. Let's make sure I don't lose any train of thoughts here. Let me see. So that's 316 for you. Nice rocking tune from I'm Sucking Wind. And Robert Apple says, I play some bass too. Awesome. Very, very cool. Bass is fun to jam on. And there's a good reason why I wear sweatbands. Not just to keep the sweat off my guitar here. I can wipe my forehead too. Let me see here. Robert Apple, great show. Eric, great nocturne, but gotta go. No problem. We're going to let you, that's from Robert Apple. Eamon Wyse says, yep, said the other night, I'll say it again, potentially the best known riff on YouTube. Thank you. That's a loaded gun. I appreciate that. That's really cool. I really appreciate that. Okay, I'm going to play maybe one more song for you guys. I don't even know what it is yet. And we're going to say good night and wish you all a fantastic weekend. Now, keep in mind, too, for the people that are Helix fans, Helix Hour is going to be a really fun one this Sunday. I've got Drew Fopp on. He was sound tech for everybody, guitar tech. He was Slipknot. Obviously, a lot of people know Slipknot. He is just finishing up a great world tour with the Smashing Pumpkins. And it's really awesome. He gave us like the whole VIP tour when we were in London, Ontario. We did a rig rundown with those guys and Smashing Pumpkins. And he's going to be talking with us exclusively about how Helix is a very, very important item in Jeff, the guitar player, Jeff Schroeder, for the Smashing Pumpkins tour, and how many artists out there are using it. So that's gonna be a really fun one. And then also too, just to give you a heads up, on Tuesday night on the Kramer Corner, our good friend Steve from Boston, as you remember him as Pixie Licks, obviously everybody knows him, Steve from Boston, he's coming on to talk Kramers with us Tuesday night. So we got a round full table of entertainment coming up, and I hope you enjoy one or more of these programs. Okay, so let's go find one more song for you, and I don't even know what I'm going to play for you. Let's see, what can we do for you? Let's go back here. Let's go here. And all right, well, what we'll do? We will do, we're going to play In the Sun. And that's going to be the last one for the evening. 10:31, we'll wrap after this. I just want to scroll real fast through the chat in case I miss anybody new and that I didn't get a chance to say hello to or anything. I think I've got pretty much everybody. Yeah, I think I missed one person. I think I saw a Soda Pop. Did I see a Soda Pop there somewhere? I saw a comment. Soda Pop, there he is. Okay. Okay, Soda Pop says, Soda Pop's been commenting on my channel too, and I really appreciate that. Some good interaction with you, and I appreciate that. He says, what's little man's channel name? Bane Rocks. BaneRocks.com, BaneRox.com. It'll take you right to his YouTube, or you can just search Bane Rocks with an X on YouTube search, and you'll get to him as well too. All right, so that's awesome. I don't think I missed anybody, and if I did, I greatly apologize. I love spending a Friday night evening with you, and I could have taken tonight off because we moved the guest to next Friday, but Nocturnal likes to see me live, and I think part of the reason, I think I could inflate my own ego and say she wants to see me play. I think she wants to talk to all of our friends in the chat, and I can easily put myself on the back burner for that, because I think that's the true sentiment. We like to hang with our friends on a Friday night, and there we go. She put the link in the chat. Is that the correct one? No, just double check that, because I think he had another one, Nocturnal. I'm not sure if that's Bane Rocks 51. It might be. Double check that, will you, just to be sure? And no problem, Soda Pop. Just double check that if you can, Nocturnal, just to be sure. All right. Thank you, Michael Madej. Okay, so we're going to play In the Sun, and that's how we all want to be. We want to be happiest in the sun. Sun is good for you. It's good for the spirits and everything else, and that's how we'll conclude this. We'll be in the sun together, and I'm just going to say goodbye to you now. We'll jump away after the song. All right, thank you so much, everybody. Let's get back over here to the patches. Make sure we're good. Turn off my microphone, and thank you so much, everyone. was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Thank you so much, everybody. Had a fantastic Friday evening with you. Couldn't be happier. Now I'm going to go spend some time with the family upstairs. Hugs and kisses for all those guys up there. And a happy Friday evening and a great weekend to you. D. Lees says, I love that guitar. Thank you. And D. Lees, I think I might have missed one of your comments earlier. You said you had some trouble with your guitar. You got it and you're missing some parts, whatever. Please keep me posted if you get those warranted from the dealer that you bought it from. I'm sure they'll make good on it for you. And if there's anything I can help you with as well, too, as far as technical troubleshooting, I'd be more than happy to help you. Contact me through Facebook if you can. If not, send me an email to info@evhgeardiscussion.com. That will get to me, and I'd be more than happy to help you. And Soda Pop, Eric, just have fun, and that's what it's all about. I agree. Thank you so much, everybody. I could honestly stay on with you guys all night long, but I want you guys to have a life as well, too. Thank you so much. We'll maybe see some of you over on Helix Hour this Sunday, 3 p.m. Eastern and 12 o'clock Pacific. You guys rock. I mean, man, you keep raising the bar in the chat every time you come out here, and it's just an absolute pleasure. We will see you very, very soon. And until next time, be good to one another, and cheers.
Hey, you're still here? Eric Jr. here, reminding you to check out our full lineup of quality merch. Available right now in the Broadstash Boutique. Quality products and fast shipping. Visit broadstash.com today.
I am now on Patreon. If you enjoy my content and wish to support my channel and what I do, then please check out my Patreon page at patreon.com/EVHGearTV. Your support assures the continued growth of this channel and a fun community in which to share our love for Van Halen, music gear, and much more.
My name is Eric and I'm playing Wolverine guitar.
Video production services provided by Design 39 Media. Visit design39media.com for all your website, photography, and video production needs. Microphones for EVH and Gear TV are provided by Rode Microphones, and official Van Halen merchandise is provided by vanhalenstore.com.